welcome here. I am here at the corridors of the Parliament, and I have with me two very interesting guests. One, who has won the Best Parliamentarian Award in 2006, and the other one, who I'm sure will be awarded this during the course of time. Shankar Aiyar and Sitaram Yechury. Welcome. Mani, today we are discussing the vice presidential elections and all that, but it's intricately connected to the Rajya Sabha. Apart from being the vice president, he as the chairman of the Rajya Sabha holds a very important post. Periodically we keep hearing this about the importance of Rajya Sabha, whether Rajya Sabha should be there or not. Then there is this periodic debate. But I think in India we have once and for all assured that ensured that the second house, the upper house, which is Rajya Sabha, has its relevance, and there is no doubt about it.
Well, it's certainly the Rajya Sabha is very useful for a TV channel.
And what about people who lose Lok Sabha elections?
It's got its uses. I'm not sure that what we needed a Rajya Sabha for was as a council of states, that we were supposed to discuss national issues,
right,
and only national issues in the Lok Sabha, and in the Rajya Sabha a state perspective was supposed to be brought to bear upon national issues.
Right.
And insofar as the 12 nominated members are concerned, an alleged expertise was supposed to be brought to bear upon these subjects. But in actual fact, the Lok Sabha is performing the role of the Rajya Sabha, and the Rajya Sabha is merely duplicating what the Lok Sabha is doing.
Right.
So the constitutional scheme is simply not being implemented as it was originally conceived. Now, the fact is that our polity has got so fractionated, and so many of the members have only a regional perspective because they belong to a regional party,
right,
that this is perhaps inevitable. But nevertheless, if it were possible between the two presiding officers to somehow succeed in drawing a line that takes us closer to the founding fathers' concept, then maybe it would play a more useful role than it is playing now. It's now playing the role really of replicating what is happening in the Lok Sabha, but occasionally, as in the case of the Lokpal bill, with different results.
Sitaram, do you agree with what Mani said, or do you think that Rajya Sabha's role as a council of states, he says that we have not really achieved that, what the constitutional makers. What is your opinion?
Yeah, you see, there is a point in what Mani is saying. The original conception of the Rajya Sabha as the Council of States was to give meat to the federal concept of our Constitution. That, after all, remember the first article of the Indian Constitution says, India, that is Bharat, is a union of states.
Right.
Without the states, there is no India in that sense. Now, the rights of the states, the representation of the states, that being a primary duty of the Rajya Sabha, in that there is a lot of fine-tuning that needs to be done.
Right.
That, of course, is a fact. But there is also another role that the Rajya Sabha plays and should play, and that is to be the watchdog. The watchdog in the sense of whatever, and it is not, I think it is not merely coincidental that we borrowed from the British House of Lords and the Westminster system,
yes,
that the color green was for the House of Commons and the color red was for the House of Lords.
You made this
I
point
made
in one of
this
the
point
speeches.
in one of my speeches, and the Rajya Sabha always shows the red flag.
Right.
When the Lok Sabha approved its...
The question is, does it always show the
yeah,
red
that is the point. Does it always show? It's supposed to show.
Right.
Like in the Lokpal years. I mean, we showed, and we said there needs to be much more fine-tuning that needs to be done, so amendments were moved. So that role also needs to improve. Now, the third point that Mani made, which is also very valid in the sense that you see, in no society can the social plurality be abstracted from the political content.
Right.
So if the society is a plural and a diverse society, politics will also be so. So there's no point bemoaning that you got a fragmented polity because you got all these regional forces. In fact, you should see it positively. That it is actually the maturation of Indian democracy. That your social realities are being reflected in politics. Now this has to be taken to a higher level when there is a merging or a melding of all these individual interests
Right.
into that of the national interest.
See, one thing which is bothersome, which has been a matter of debate also, was when the secret voting was removed. One second thing was about the domicile thing. You know, is this something the Supreme Court has upheld the domicile, the amendment which was brought in saying that there's no need for the domicile status. People from anywhere can contest anywhere. Is it not going against the grain of what the constitution makers felt or thought when they evolved the Rajya Sabha as a council of state?
There's no doubt that originally it was believed that somebody who belongs to a state can only represent it.
Right.
But I think that is increasingly untrue. I mean, the only state in that case that I could represent in parliament is Pakistan. I was born there. And I've lived my life all over the place. I'm married to a Punjabi. I'm elected from
You
Tamil
lived in
Nadu.
Uttarakhand also.
Pardon? And I was brought up in
Brought up in
Uttarakhand.
Uttarakhand.
So I don't think this sort of native son theory really holds anymore. But yes, we are supposed to articulate a point of view of a state.
Right.
Now that is happening, but only when the ADMK and the DMK fight, or the SP and the BSP fight,
absolutely.
or this other regional party, the CPM and the TMC fight. That's when you suddenly see state points of view coming up.
Or for that matter, when one section of the Congress MPs from Andhra fight with the
Touche. But the thing is that there is a regional point of view that does need to get expressed. There isn't a homogeneous regional point of view, but it does get expressed. So it has its uses. But I personally would like to see the Rajya Sabha abolished for the following reason. That I don't
very
think
interesting.
any system of reservation for women is going to work unless we declare that every single constituency is a double member constituency, one male and one female. That will make Parliament 1,084 members.
Please come again. You said you want the Rajya Sabha to be abolished
You see, if we have 1,084 elected members
in Lok Sabha.
in the Lok Sabha, half of them women, half of them men, then probably the argument for a Rajya Sabha will decline. And we'll have to reconfigure this building in order to enable us to have a house of 1,000 and more members.
There's already discussion about building a new building actually for Parliament. So
That would be most foolish. I mean, what this building needs is to get rid of all the encroachments that have come in.
absolutely. Anyway, that's a separate
different point.
No,
Yeah,
that's
no, I hope, let me avail of this to say, I hope and pray that, in fact, the Rajya Sabha TV would have given us very special contribution to national life if what I'm saying is listened to. That this is history.
Exactly.
And we can't just throw away our history
can't demolish
looking
history.
for
No,
glass and
that's a
cement.
separate.
I'm sure that internally
money. That's a
it can be
separate
made.
debate. We'll have a separate discussion on that. But money comes out with this suggestions which are quite amazing. To see saying that abolish the Rajya Sabha and bring in
No,
this
money is
two
talking,
members.
I think if I understand him rightly, he's only talking in terms of space, and therefore, I mean, if you have 1,084 Lok
No,
Sabha, why have another 250 Rajya Sabha? But I wouldn't be very comfortable with the idea of actually doing away with the Council of States. Because eventually, you see, our constitutional scheme of things are not working properly. That's fine. We need to repair it. We need to do a lot deal of fine tuning. But I don't think we can really abolish this concept. Because
That's true. What we need is for the presiding officers to sit together and ask themselves the question you're asking me. They have to ask themselves, is the Rajya Sabha going to merely duplicate the work of the Lok Sabha?
Absolutely.
Or is it going to play a special role, which is an essential role for our quasi-federal democracy?
How does Rajya Sabha play a special role? What was envisaged when the constitution makers thought of Rajya Sabha?
You see, we mixed, I'll tell you,
replicating the House of Lords here.
We mixed up the Senate and the House of Lords.
Right.
concept. We had a House of Lords but made it a Council of States. Now in the United States, the Senate is very, very powerful because it exclusively represents the point of view of the state
Right.
by two people being elected from every state,
Right.
irrespective of whether it's some tiny state like Delaware or whether it's a huge state like California,
Right.
they only are allowed to have 2 members. Now that didn't seem necessary to us. So we said that since we are in a different way to the United States, a union of states, let us have a strong state voice in Parliament. And that was to be done by the Council of States, otherwise known as the Rajya Sabha.
No,
Yeah.
let's see. You see, you look at the main functions of the parliament.
Right.
A, it has to legislate. B, it is the watchdog on the
Functioning of the government.
That is making the government accountable to the parliament,
Parliament,
and
right.
therefore to the people.
Right.
I mean, that is how the sovereignty of
The scrutiny of the government.
Yeah, the sovereignty of the people is established in
Right.
that manner. And third, discussing issues of what is called public importance.
Absolutely.
Now, these issues of public importance is the area where I think what money is talking about. That there can be a division, and there should be a division on issues that affect the rights of the states, on issues that are affecting the center-state relations, on issues on how this center-state relations, for example, the entire question of, let's say, the division of finances between the center and state.
Right.
We'll have a finance commission which periodically goes into it. It's a constitutional body. But all those issues involved in it are never they're discussed because it's a holy cow saying financial that constitutional authority is there and that will decide.
Absolutely.
No, these are the issues. I think that is where a relook is necessary.
No, how
can I
much
make-
how much is the onus on the members of Rajya Sabha themselves? People like you, how much have you done thinking on this aspects? How much have you thought, and how much of reforms have you been thinking about? Where are the areas where the reforms need to be? See, just leaving it to the chairman of the house or leaving it to the presiding officer is not going to help.
No. There's in fact there's been a lot of thought that has gone in the recent few years. And in fact, if you recollect whether it's a question of the impeachment of High Court judge, which was initiated there, it was the first time it's ever
Absolutely.
happened. Now, there are discussions that are on in what is called the General Purposes Committee,
Right.
and where all the leaders of all the parties are there. And this suggestion is under consideration in the sense of whether there can be a division of subjects or division of areas. I mean, you can't deny the Lok Sabha anything. Neither
Right.
can you deny the Rajya Sabha.
Yes.
But these are areas that Rajya Sabha will focus on, not necessarily be exclusively.
Absolutely.
Focus on. That sort of a thing is under
In fact, money you were talking earlier about, raising the quality and things like that. Where is the effort by the political parties to raise the quality?
I can assure you this is sincere effort on their part to ensure that the Rajya Sabha becomes a dumping ground for those who lose, like me, in the Lok Sabha election.
You may be an exception because you're adding value to, but a lot of people don't
No,
add
the
value.
old days, the name elders, which doesn't figure in the constitution, came. And when you think back to the giants of the Rajya Sabha in the Nehruvian years, for example, many of whom incidentally were communists, people like Mukesh Gupta and Kiran Mukherjee, their contribution really was a value added. But when ours becomes a shouting chamber, as it has been
Yes.
for all my years
Right.
in the Rajya Sabha, which is only 2 years.
2 years.
It's been awful the way it was disrupted. Fortunately, this last budget session went through relatively smoothly. That is not anything to do, I think, with institutions. It has to do with individuals. And now that we have a more responsible deputy leader of the principal opposition party, I think things will become very much better. But I do want to add one other angle which you haven't touched upon. The permanence of parliament, and therefore the permanence of democratic institutions, lies only in the Rajya Sabha. And it was availed of by 36-year-old Atal Bihari Vajpayee. On the 26th of October, I saw it in the newspaper, 1962, right in the middle of the war with China, he went to Jawaharlal Nehru with his 4 or 5 members, and he demanded that although the Lok Sabha was not in session,
Right.
the Rajya Sabha should be brought into session
Right.
in order to discuss the India-China war.
Right.
And on the 8th of November 1962, that discussion did in fact take place, which is why I was heartbroken and very upset when the same demand was made by the Congress of the NDA government, that the Rajya Sabha at least is in session when the Kargil war
Kargil war
took
took
place. The same Atal Bihari Vajpayee did not accept our demand. But I think at that time it was demonstrated in a very dramatic manner as to what could be the uses of the Rajya Sabha when the Lok Sabha is in
You know,
abeyance.
one of the things which are being suggested is, Rajya Sabha House of Elders need to have people with experience, people with different varieties of expertise. Why don't you raise the number of the percentage of members who are nominated? Now, right now we have 10% who are nominated members, maybe not even 10% actually, not even 10%, with 12 nominated members, which is 5%. So why don't you raising the number of nominated members, bringing people from different expertise into it, will it help in improving the quality of discussions and debate in the Rajya Sabha?
No, you see, when we have consciously chosen the parliamentary form with the Prime Minister and not as an executive presidential form. In the presidential form, you draw in talent. The president does. Whatever.
Right.
Because there was a conscious decision, and I think it's a very valid decision.
Yes.
And it is relevant, even more relevant today, that the members of the Rajya Sabha are also to be made accountable.
Right.
Now, if you have nominated experts, I'm not talking of money, but otherwise if you have the nominated experts, there is no way in which this accountability aspect can be ensured. Now, if I'm elected from the state of West Bengal, I'm accountable to the assembly
But,
of the West
but, then,
Bengal.
but your argument will hold good for the existing 12 members also.
No, they're correct. So that's why I'm saying that increasing the proportion will not really
Will not help.
What will help is the parties choosing in the spirit of the House of Elders.
Sitaram,
I'm
Mani, one second. I just want to strike a very personal note to, as far as Sitaram is concerned. Sitaram, you avoided getting into parliament for quite a number of years. You did not believe that it would help being in parliament, or
No.
now that you are in parliament for this is your second term now, and you think you did a mistake by coming into it late, very late in your thing?
No. Neither was it a mistake not coming in earlier, nor is it a mistake coming in now. Neither way. But there is a point which I wanted to make, which I hopefully should have registered on some people, is that politics is not only electoral politics. Now that is where the degeneration of our political structure systems also begin, of the parties. It becomes a sort of a career where there's a rush to become an MP, become a minister, etc. And therefore the flitting from one party to another. Politics is all about social change. It's about an ideology. It's about a purpose. It's about thinking. Now that larger thing should not be lost.
Mani, do you agree with him that politics is not just about electoral politics or being representing some
That's exactly why I'm going to make a pretty radical suggestion. I think we should continue the Rajya Sabha but remove the party whip.
remove the parties?
And in exchange for removing the party whip, no member of the Rajya Sabha can become either a minister or prime minister. So that the views expressed in the upper house are really crossbench views. Using your experience, because many of the members of the Rajya Sabha are politicians with long experience.
Right.
Many are those who have served as minister. I have. So I have at least 4 ministries which I know something about.
Absolutely.
And where I would like, without a whip, to speak. There are issues.
Without the fear of a
of
suspension
national.
notice.
No, I'm ordered that if I don't go along with the whip, I will be thrown out of the Rajya Sabha.
No, there is a point.
And therefore the Lok Sabha, the Rajya Sabha becomes a replication. But in the House of Lords, even if there is no party whip, because you can't throw anybody out. You can claim that you happen to belong to a Labour tendency or a Liberal tendency, but you can't be forced to follow the party whip. Unlike in the lower house, in the House of Commons.
No, there's a merit in what the Mani is saying. If you just look at the committees, look at the parliamentary standing committees. More often than not, the standing committee reports are unanimous.
That's right.
All the parties who are represented there,
Absolutely.
it cuts across. But when it comes to the House,
Right.
then you're back again.
So anyway, I think we have completely run out of time, and I'm being told that I need to wind up the discussion. Anyway, right behind us, 2 of the most glamorous people who are going to be in Rajya Sabha have just come in to vote. Rekha and Sachin Tendulkar. I think I saw Rekha coming in. I don't know about Tendulkar. Anyway, thanks to both my guests, Shankar Aiyar and Sitaram Yechury. I hope we'll have another opportunity to sit and and continue this very interesting discussion which we are having. Thank you very much.